Hey everybody, it's your girl. And we are back. This is your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson, and we are here with a new episode of the Horizons Author Lounge. And I'm excited because I have with me right now Miss Coach Michelle Jackson. Let's get it right. It's Coach Michelle. And I got to tell you a funny story. So apparently, we reached out to two Michelle Jacksons.
What?
And both of you accepted. I didn't know
Oh,
who I was going to have on the show.
oh my gosh.
I didn't realize that. And so when you were messaging me, I thought it was the other Michelle. But
Oh no.
we both started sending pictures, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not Michelle.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was awesome. I said, as long as I've been doing this show, that has never happened to me.
Of course it would happen when I'm on. That's just kind of the juju that I bring. And I probably shouldn't say juju. But quick question. Is the other Michelle in menopause too?
I need to ask her that.
Oh my gosh. Y'all forgive me. You will see me fanning.
Well, the other Michelle will be on the show in May. So
Okay.
I will have to ask her that when she contacts me, when we have her on the show.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so Coach Michelle, tell me, what type of coach are you?
My official title is, first and foremost, thank you so much, Dr. Rhonda, for having me on your platform, on your show. I really appreciate it. Anytime that I can highlight some of the areas in which I focus, I am grateful. So, but I focus on life and transformational healing, technically. And also, because of my past and my history, I focus a lot on helping women find their voices so that they can overcome past traumas.
Yes. That's a serious thing, and I think I've said it before on this show that often people feel that everybody's supposed to have the same healing process.
Mhm.
Everybody's supposed to have the same way of getting over something that may have happened in the past, and they think, well, I was able to get over it, you should be able to get over it. But that's not always the case for everybody. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. Of course, in uh, a coaching training, you get some of the same kind of verbiage, same materials, same processes and procedures in which you are to coach people. I am certified with two coaching certifications, one John Maxwell, another is Coach Training Alliance. And they were very different programs, but also I add my element of experience. And so often you'll hear me say when I'm on these interviews, oh, I'm just posting a live. Often you'll hear me say what worked for me. I speak in terms of me. Even with a coaching manual, there's no one size fits all. Just like healing is not, oh, I'm healed, ED, past tense. No, it's an
Yes.
ongoing process. And sometimes in your healing journey, what worked for you 10 years ago, and you have a trigger that comes up this year, it might not work. So, if even in our own personal journeys, we have to shift and be pliable and pivot, of course, others are going to have to shift and be pliable and pivot, and it may not work for them. So, I think one of the most important things is learning our truth and what works for us.
Absolutely. Now, how do we do that? Is this something that we have to sit by ourselves and come up with a strategy ourselves, or is it better to talk with other people, or does that kind of vary from person to person?
I think it varies from person to person and personality to personality type, right? Because some people are more self aware. Some
Right.
people are in the mirror often. And then there are other people who are never self aware. You know, everything is someone else's fault. It's everyone shift according to my presence. I show up in the room and everyone's supposed to shift according to me. So I
Yes.
think it depends, but there will always be a time where we will need someone Even in my own self discovery and overcoming, and I don't know how deep we're going to go into my journey, even in my own transformation and my transformative journey, there were points where I had to do the work by myself.
Mm.
It was me and God in the trenches. And then there were points where I had to let others in. And I think just being, if you are not self aware, and you're not a believer. I just assume everyone is a believer because I am, which is really not true. But if you're not a believer or you don't have a spiritual journey or whatever, sit with yourself. Ask yourself the questions. Where am I trying to go? What do I need that I feel I don't have in this moment? And sit with the question long enough to receive the answer. I think
Mm.
so often we ask the question and we're moving, right?
Yes.
Immediately moving, but we haven't sat long enough to hear the answer. So, yes, the journey starts with you, but it may end up with others, with a community of support, with a community of people who are there for you, who are pouring into you, and you likewise are pouring into them.
Well, I I think I find that often there are two different types of people. There's the person who feels like they can solve their problems all on their own, and they don't need to talk to anybody. I'm going to sit down and solve my own problems. It worked for my mama. It worked for my grandmother. It worked for my great grandmother, and she was a slave, so she had to be strong. So I'm going to channel my great grandmother or my great great grandmother, and I'm going to solve this all by myself. There are some people who feel that way. And
Mhm.
then there are other people who may want to be by themselves, but they don't know what to do. And so they talk to everybody. And everybody does not need to hear what's going on with you. So you have to be a little selective sometimes on who you talk to. So I guess my question is, I'm sure that in your line of work you probably deal with people on both sides of that spectrum. But how does a person determine whether that a person who needs to sit by themselves or the person who needs to find someone to talk to?
Well, just based on my own experience and my studies, I do not believe that we are a one size fits in all seasons of our lives. You might hear me becoming quite redundant in our conversation because I believe there are seasons in which both apply. I don't know anyone who has never needed someone else. I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone alive or dead.
Mm.
There are always seasons in our lives where we might need the support, the coaching, the therapy. I'm not a therapist, but the therapy of someone else, someone who is licensed, right? We may need to talk with them to get the scientific perspective of what's really going on in my brain. I've
Mm.
prayed enough, I've fasted enough, I've meditated enough, I've done all the things, and yet I'm still hitting this brick wall. When you've done all the things, okay, and even if you are standardly, if you are the person that's always, I'm usually more self-sufficient, I do things by myself, I function better, I'm a severe introvert, and you know that with introverts we generally get most of our energy by ourselves, right? And so the lie becomes that I don't need anyone. That's a lie. There
Mm.
will be seasons where I need people, but there are also seasons where I have to do that inward work by myself. There are things that a therapist cannot do for me. They can give me the roadmap, they can give me the blueprint on how to get there, but I have to take the steps. I have to do the work. I have to get dirty. So, yes, there are and there will be seasons where you need to be by yourself. We also need some insight, some discernment. We need intuition to guide us. I call it the Holy Spirit because I am a believer, to guide us and tell us, hey, don't trust that person. That's that thing, that still small voice in you where you
Yeah.
go into a new environment, you don't know these people, but something in you says, don't talk to her or don't talk to him. That's that voice inside of you, that intuition, that gut instinct. We need to be able to figure out, wait a minute, my gut's telling me, keep that to myself. My gut's telling me, girl, this journey, this part of your journey, this is called the solo walk. or
Yes.
or this
I like
part of
that.
your journey, this is called the my community walk.
Yes.
And so understanding and learning, and also we can learn a lot often based on our history, right? You've heard the saying, I'm sure, a person that doesn't know their history is destined to repeat it.
Right.
Because if you don't know you're going blindly, you will likely make the same mistakes of your forefathers, your ancestors. But when we know our history and we understand and we have the education behind it and we have the experience and the inclination on what not to do or what to do, then you look at your own history, your personal life development. Where have you stumbled the most? When were you most successful? And often that can be a marker for, wait a minute, this worked for me in the past, it might work for me now.
Mm.
But don't stay stuck in that. Because as I said earlier, what worked for you 10 years ago might not work for you today. I experienced that in 2021. And I don't know if we'll go into that, but I've done all this healing work and I'm a survivor, overcomer of a lot of things. And I was on my journey hosting events and speaking and coaching and all the things. I'm a speaker and I was good. And I was in a space where I could share my testimony, I could share my story, and everything was good. I'd done the forgiveness. I've accepted the love. I walked in my purpose. I transformed my thoughts. I did all the things that this book talks about when she flipped, right?
Yes.
Flipped is the acronym for forgiveness, love, purpose, and thoughts. I did all of that, the transformative thoughts, and I was good. And then a string of events happened and they shook me. And I was in total shock and turmoil for a minute, losing sleep, all the things, because I thought I'd crossed this bridge, I'd done all the healing work, and I was fine for years. And so I started trying to go back to my toolbox. I technically created a toolbox, a physical toolbox. This is my toolbox. You see the little door?
Oh, it is a toolbox.
It's my toolbox. And in this door, I have little Post-its that have different things on it. This says music. Why? Because depending on where I am in my journey, I might need something different. This one says write because I might need to journal. But I pulled out my toolbox and it's like, oh, well, this used to work for me. In 2021, those things weren't working for me. So I had to reach out to a therapist, something that I wasn't doing, something that I thought I was beyond. I've done all the work. I'm good. Well, no, you need to do the work in a different way now. So we need to have that. We need to sit with ourselves to see what we need.
Yes.
And also, one of the most important things, one of the catchiest terms we've heard, especially during the pandemic, is self-care. Everyone's throwing around self-care, self-care, self-care. And I am not against the good manicure, pedicure, bath, spa, all the things, trips and all the things, candles. But for me, the greatest level of self-care is truth and honesty. I care the most about Michelle when I'm honest with Michelle's needs, when I'm honest with where Michelle is in that moment and not putting on a face. If you talk to me and it's like, how are you, Michelle? Oh, I'm fine and everything's good. But on the inside, I'm breaking down. No, if you ask me how I'm doing.
That we tell ourselves as well as telling other people is that we're fine, even when we're not fine, even when we're showing that we're not fine. Our face says that we're not fine, but we still say we're fine.
Because it's about image and ego. And sometimes also it's about the fact that our trust has been broken. We trusted someone long ago and they asked how we were doing and we disclosed to them and they abandoned us or they disappointed us or they betrayed our trust and told our business. So we just think, oh, we can't trust anyone. Well, guess what? That part of you needs to be healed too. Because no, you can't trust everyone, but there is someone out there that you can trust. And you can only get to that point when you're honest and you say, wait a minute, I have trust issues. Now, how do I start to handle that? How do I approach that? How do I address it? How do I heal it? And that for me is why truth and being honest is so important, because that is the origin of self-care for me. If I'm not honest about what I need, but I go and get a manicure, but I really need more, I need more companionship, or I need to be around people more, or I need to share my story, or I need therapy, but I go get a massage, what's going to happen? Oh, my back will be very relaxed to some degree because we still carry the tension in our bodies, right? When there's unresolved trauma, pain, whatever it is, unresolved issues. But I'll feel so relaxed in some parts of my back. And yet I go home and I'm still dealing with this unresolved issue because I haven't gotten to the root of what I really need. What I really need might be healing from my bad relationship with my mother or my father.
Yes.
What I really need might be healing from DV, and someone to talk to. What I really need might be to know that I'm worthy, that I mean something, that I have value. Yet I
Yes.
get a massage. What is that massage going to do for that? Nothing. I'm putting a bandage on a bullet wound.
Now, if only you put all of those great thoughts into a book.
Nice segue. I love that. Well, the beauty of that is I am writing another book with more of this. Now, I've written various books. Some are poetry because I'm also a poet. But my last book is When She Flipped. And flipped, as I referenced earlier, is an acronym for forgiveness, love, purpose, and thoughts. In this book, I focus a lot on story, a lot of stories about my past and the things that I dealt with and the things that traumatized me. And I don't know how deep we want to go into this. But as I said before, I've overcome a lot of things. I've come over because often we think, and I understand when we go through pain, when we go through the trauma, when we go through the devastations and the disappointments of life, we don't want to see them again. We want to tuck them away and put them in a little box and pack it in the corner or in the closet. Well, I did that for decades, and it literally almost took my life. So when I talk about literally almost taking my life, I wanted and I attempted to no longer live. I hate these terms that they're using for the cause of shadow banning, but I attempted to unalive myself 4 different times in my life, starting at 12 years old and ending at 30. At
Mm.
30 years old, that was the last time. And at 30 years old, I physically flatlined. The defibrillator had to be used on me several times, mouth to mouth chest compressions in the emergency vehicle. The paramedics had to come get me, all the things. I lost consciousness. My heart stopped beating, all the things because I was suppressing and packing things away in a closet and putting a bow on them. Yet, guess what? That wasn't healing me.
Right.
I was literally in survival mode because I still had to press forward. I couldn't face the trauma of being essayed. I don't know how much you want me to say here, but being essayed by my father. And
And I mean, I would say as deep as you would like to go. This is your platform right now, and if you want to speak further about it, you can. Whatever
okay,
you feel comfortable with.
okay. Well, my uncle, when I was 9 years old, my favorite uncle, molested me. And it shook me because I was already from a dysfunctional home and my mother was 16 when she had me. So she was a child, not able to give me the love and support and nurturing that I needed because she was still trying to grow up herself. And once my uncle did that, and then I told, I was physically assaulted by an aunt. And so a lot of things were happening at a very early age for me. At 9 years old, at 10 years old, once I told and that all came out, I realized that not only did my body not belong to me, but my voice didn't either.
Mm.
My truth didn't matter. So I stopped speaking it. I became very inward centered, if that makes sense. Everything was, if it happened to me, I just tucked it away. I put it in a little box. And yet it was poisoning me daily. And I don't know if that made me an introvert and going to 6 different grammar schools and all the things, or if I was born to be an introvert. But I know that I felt very alone and very forgotten. And
Mm.
so then my father, who at the time was in prison for raping a child who lived across the street from us. He did this when I was 6. Once he was released from prison and I'm 16 years old and I see him in all these things, he was released when I was 14, but I couldn't see him until I was 16. He raped me and was very violent toward me. Something happened with a gun, all these things. So there's no stability there. I'm in a household with my mother who never told me she loved me. I'm being physically abused, sexually abused, all the things by people who should be protecting me. There was no validating Michelle. There was no one there like pouring into me and telling me I'm special. So I tucked away a lot of things and I had a lot of unresolved issues and unforgiveness in me. Now, I speak from a perspective of forgiveness, and I know a lot of people are like, you shouldn't forgive this and you shouldn't. Forgiveness is not about them. It
Right.
is about me. It's like I likened forgiveness to, a lot of people with student loans, they want their loans to be forgiven, right?
Mm.
If your loans are forgiven, does that mean that you didn't take the loans out?
Well,
No, you still took
them.
right. It's a reality that you still did it. You still went to school. You still took the loans or whatever. It merely means that they are releasing you from responsibility. You no longer have to pay. When I forgive a person, I am releasing them in a way that they don't have to pay me every time I see them. I'm not walking around hating them. I'm not carrying the load of them. Now,
Yes.
I may need healing from what they did, because even when a loan is forgiven, somebody's paying for that. Somebody somewhere is paying for it. So
Mhm.
whether that's taxpayers or whomever, someone is paying for it. So that underlying issue, whatever they did to me, and it doesn't have to be as big as SA, it could be someone lying on you. When you release them, you cut the tie from you to them. You cut that tie. They no longer have control over you. Now you might need healing. You might need a process of, going through, okay, what do I need? Do I need therapy? Do I need prayer? Whatever you need, you may need to go through the process of developing yourself and removing the stint of what they did to you. You can't remove the scar, but you can remove the stint and the damage that it can continually do to you. So when I forgive, it's like that student loan. I'm removing the responsibility. I'm cutting the ties that bind me to that person. And now I'm able to freely address, approach, and acknowledge
Mm.
what has happened to me. And it
Mm.
has nothing to do with them anymore. It's now about my healing journey. So for me, forgiveness was imperative. And not only did I need to forgive everyone in not everyone in my family, but some major players in my family, I needed to forgive myself. I needed to forgive God,
That
because I
sometimes
walked.
that's the hardest part, is to try to, you can forgive other people, but you still blame yourself. You still can't forgive yourself. And then it makes it hard for you to continue to move forward.
And so, you know how I did it for me, how I forgave Michelle?
How?
I revisited, and I won't say this like in some spooky hooky way, but I started to think about Michelle the child.
Mm.
And I thought about the weight of the world that she was carrying and the weight of dysfunction that she was carrying on her back. And I said, that little girl did the best she could with what she had. Every time a thought came up, you should have done this. Why didn't you do this? Going back to the 16-year-old me, the 17-year-old me, the 18, you did the best with what you had. And the more I said that, the more grace I could present and give to Michelle. The more I could say, girl, be proud of you. You could be so many things right now because of your life. You did the best. You did your absolute best. Now, you might be in a position today where you can do better. Of course I can. I'll be 52 next month. I'm not 16 anymore. I'm not 9 or 10 years old anymore. I have more information. I have more maturity, more growth, more spirituality. I believe God. I have more resources. Of course I can do more today, but how dare I judge a child based on a 51-year-old woman?
Yes. Yes. I mean, everybody has different thought processes and different ways that they process the things that happen to them. People deal with things in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, I wish that I had my 50-year-old brain and my 14-year-old body. I would not have made nearly as many mistakes as I did when I was a young teenager.
And that's where the statement or the saying, hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
Like, of course we wouldn't. But guess what? Giving yourself grace for that too. That's how we learn often. Often we learn from our mistakes, right? So once I did the forgiveness, then I could love that thing that I searched for. I wanted and craved love so desperately because I felt I was invisible. And I didn't feel loved. I didn't love myself, all these things. once I was able to forgive, that opened the door for me to receive love, to become love, to receive it from God, from myself, to give myself love, and then to love others. My relationships started to change in my 30s because I was on this healing journey. And so now I can even love better. And then once I loved, now I can focus on purpose. And I'm not talking about being a speaker or a coach or a poet or any of these job titles. I'm referring to, what is it? Your purpose to me is not about what you do for a living. It is what you bring to the table everywhere you go. For every table you sit at, for every room you enter, what do you bring to the scenario? What do you bring to the atmosphere and environment? That's your purpose. If you are a person who evokes joy, well, you're a person who evokes joy. You bring joy. My purpose is to bring joy to solemn spaces and sorrowful places.
No, that's it. That's it. I asked my daughter today, what do you feel your purpose is?
Mm-hmm.
And I told her to think about that. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is a really timely discussion. And it's also a timely discussion because we are going into Sexual Assault Awareness Month and
Yes.
Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Yes.
And the story that you told um, actually falls under both of those.
Yes. Yes. And unfortunately, even though I'm 51 years old, I call it residue. There is residue that I'm still processing. And this stuff happened to me as a small child and then into my teens. Because especially when you suppress, you don't have time to acknowledge. So you shift gears and you're into survival mode, right? So you're not facing and healing from the things that happen to you. You're just putting them in the background, right? It's background noise. But you're actually showing up and people will see your dysfunction.
Yes.
You don't even think you're dysfunctional because there's no way to not deal with it. One way or another, we're either going to heal from it or deal with it. But one way or another, it's showing up. There is no, oh, that didn't affect me. You think it didn't. But talk to the closest people around you and see what their perspective is and how you show up in their lives every day.
Right.
Do a tally.
And
They're
the way you
seeing
see
it.
things is not the way others are going to see them, and
Yeah.
vice versa.
And it doesn't mean that everything that people think about you is truth, but I'm talking about those close people whom you trust and you love, and you know they're going to speak what's real, not to hurt you, but to help heal you. So for me, I had to learn to face things. And again, that's where the truth comes in because, there are a lot of people out here with mics today who are speaking, but they're not speaking from a perspective of truth. They're speaking from a perspective of expectation and what the world thinks they should be saying or what the world thinks they should be doing or the trendy things. For me, because I was this victim, I'm no longer a victim, but because I was, it affected the way that I viewed love. It affected my safety. When a child is abused physically or sexually, it uproots their level of dignity and safety and their perspective on who they are and their value. Because in a child's mind, if I'm not valuable enough to be protected, if I'm not valuable enough to be safe, well, then I have no value.
Wow.
Right? By the people who should protect them,
Absolutely.
by the people who should be pouring into them. I have no value. Now you have this teenager who, again, it happens again because often when children are victims, they are victimized more than once. The studies have shown that, right? It's generally never once, right? There are always, those one-offs or whatever, but generally it's more than more than one person. So this message is being echoed and communicated on more than one time by more than one person. What is my value? I'm not safe anywhere. So now I have to protect me. So when we talk about the angry Black woman and she's hard and she's this, how about you have a conversation with her and see what she's been through? Because that might be from a protective mechanism. That might be what she learned to do. No one else protected her. I was very strong and self-aware and I'm self-sufficient. Well, I didn't want to be. But that's what I learned. I had to protect me. I had to stand up for me. I had to do the things for me because no one else was going to come and rescue me. So these are things that we have to pull back the layers. And if you need therapy to do that, or a coach to help you with that on some levels, because coaches are not therapists, but if you need a therapist, please seek help, because you are worthy and you are valuable. Just because someone is not capable of seeing or valuing you, seeing your value or valuing you, doesn't denote that you don't have value. You are breathing, you are living, so you have value and you have a purpose. Seek
Yeah.
help so that you can show up as the best version of you. That you dream of, that you crave, that you cry yourself to sleep at night wondering, God, when is it going to be my time to shine? Well, I don't want to shine a light on a dirty room.
Mm.
I'd love to shine a light on something clean, something
Mm.
healed. So if you're having that prayer, maybe there are things that you need to work through. Maybe you need to learn patience. Maybe you need more healing. So do the work. Love you enough. That self-care, apply self-care here, where you can actually walk in truth and then do the work,
And on
because you're
that
worthy.
And on that note, we have to end here. Michelle, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. It's a very, very timely message. So much going on in our world, and we often are not honest with ourselves because we're not honest with the world, and we're trying to hide what's really going on inside.
Yes.
We were trying to hide that from the world. So thank you for your words today.
Thank you.
Um, if you can show your book one more time.
Absolutely. When She Flipped, and it can be found on Amazon and all platforms where you purchase your books.
Awesome. And where can people find you if they'd like to reach out to you?
I can be found on Facebook at Coach Michelle Jackson. I'm on Instagram at Out of My Shell, The Voice. It's spelled like coming out of OUTTAMICHELLE, The Voice. And it's the same on YouTube.
Okay.
And if I can add one more thing, Dr.
Sure.
Rhonda,
Sure.
as you mentioned, Child Abuse Awareness Month and all this,
Mhm.
your children and listen to them.
Yes.
And even if they're not your children, if it's a neighbor's child, if it's your godchild, listen to them.
Mm. That's a word right there. Thank you so much. We did put your Instagram on the screen. So
Okay.
please, please, please follow Coach Michelle Jackson. You can find her on Instagram, out of Michelle _ the voice. And look at what I've been to your page. You have some good stuff on your page.
Thank you. I'm revamping a lot of things, so you'll see some better stuff later.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Rhonda. I appreciate you. May you be blessed and more doors open for you. I really appreciate you.
All right. And thank you. I appreciate you as well. You have a great night, and God
You
bless
too.
you.
Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, y'all. That was Coach Michelle Jackson. She is the author of When She Flipped. I want to make sure that you guys reach out and get her book. And I'm so glad that she talked about sexual assault awareness month. With Sexual Assault Awareness Month coming up, this was a very, very timely discussion. So keep it in the back of your mind. There are people out there who are suffering in silence, and they need your support. So as we bring on our next guest, I want to remind you all that the Meet the World Image Solutions graduating senior scholarship application is out. Here is the flyer right here. We are giving $1,000 away to a graduating senior. If you have your phones, make sure you scan the code. If you are watching on your phone, then just do a screenshot real quick so you can get that code, so you can download the application, get it filled out. Let's make sure that our kids are financially empowered to go to college. So that was the Meet the World Image Solutions Graduating Senior Scholarship. And now we have author Mikkita Moore. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you, ma'am? Oh, you are on mute.
Hey, everybody. It's been a trying day, but I'm here. I'm here.
You are here. It's good
I'm
to
here.
see you.
Yes, it's amazing to be here. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think I met you on Facebook.
You did. You
That's
did.
awesome. You responded to my call for authors.
So I think, don't quote me, right? I think when you did the call for authors, one of my author friends tags me in your message. I'm almost certain that that's what happened.
I think that's exactly what happened.
And then I was like, oh, this is amazing. Absolutely. Authors, that's me. That's me.
Well, thank you so much for responding. And I'm really looking forward to jumping into our talk.
Come on.
All right. Well, let's start off. Who is Mikkita Moore?
Oh my goodness. Listen, you know this banner in the back, it say all these things, right?
It does. You have a whole list behind you.
Honey, I have been doing this for a long time. So I am an author, right? But I'm also a founder of a not-for-profit organization. I'm also a co-founder of my daughter's not-for-profit organization.
Wonderful.
I am an international, nope, they told me to stop saying that. My business manager said that I am not international, I am global. So I am a global speaker. I am a publisher, so I own a publishing company. I am an author of 17 books.
Come on, 17. Yeah.
Whether it was a co-author, a chapter, or whatever the case may be, I have 17 published things out there. So I'm a mom of 5. You know, I've never been married, but you know, God gonna send my husband soon. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's pretty much who I am. I'm a licensed real estate agent or a licensed realtor, depending on the state. I'm here in Illinois and Tennessee, soon to be Missouri and Indiana. So that's just kind of who I am and what I do. So yeah, that's me.
And wait, you say you're located in Tennessee?
I am located here in Chicago, but I go back and forth from Illinois to Tennessee all the time. Like my other part of my family is in Memphis. So I am in Memphis at least 6 or 7 times a year.
Okay. Well, Memphis is a great city. I've been to Memphis a few times.
I love it. I love it. I'll be moving there next year, not this year, but next year. So I'm trying to get everything together to move away. I'm getting out of Chicago.
Oh, I know some people in Chicago that I'm sure they'll be disappointed to lose you.
Listen, my church family is like, no. I'm like, I gotta go. I love y'all. I absolutely love my church family, but I know that, you know, there's a greater calling. So I gotta go.
I do understand. So now you have 17 books, or you have 17 published works.
Yes.
So what is the book that we'll be talking about today?
So we're gonna talk about this first book, right? Because the first book started this whole journey. So the first book is called The Letter from the Invisible Daughter. And I wrote this book in 2016. I want to say it published in June of 2016. That book kind of started the segue of touring, talking about my story, really telling people who I was. Because you see the Mikkita on the outside, but you have no clue what she's been through. You have no clue the stories that I can tell about the childhood, the teenage years, you know, being a mother at 14 years old, a mother of 2 by 16 years old. So it talks about all of that. And then there's a letter to my father after each chapter. So yeah, this is the good one. This is the good one. I mean, they're all good, but this is the baby.
Well, that's a lot. It sounds like the book that you kind of stripped down to tell.
Yeah, I had to. So in 2016, I'll even go back further than that. In 2013, I tried to commit suicide, and God was like, baby, it is not your time. Get up, chill out, right? So I was like, God, if you just get me out of this, I surrender all. And I moved from Chicago to St. Louis, Missouri. I was in Missouri for 3.5, almost 4 years. And in those 3.5, 4 years, I found who Mikkita was. I never knew her. Like, I knew the mom. I knew the person that was trying to help, you know, please my mom. I knew the person that was looking for her father. I knew the person that was, just kind of out here living life, kicking it, and all of that good stuff. But I never knew who Mikkita was. So when I moved to St. Louis in 2013, nope, I moved in 2014. I started to move in 2013, but I'm actually moved in 14. So when I moved in 14, I found out who Mikkita was. I had to deal with my own strength, my own failures, my own fears. I had to deal with that, right? So when I tell you it was a journey, the journey was real, okay? The journey was real. So that's when it all started. And then I wrote the book in 2016, just because I was mad at everybody. So I was like, I'm finna out everybody. I'm finna tell all their business. And God was like, that's what you think you finna do, but let me tell you how you, right? So to be honest, I ended up finding who I was and why I felt the way that I felt. I kind of uncovered some stuff. So I started to tour, right? And I only wanted to tour to sell the book. I wasn't even thinking about the long haul. At that time, I had a manager that was like, okay, Mikkita, we need to go to these cities. These are your home cities. You got Chicago, you got Memphis, you got St. Louis. We need to do these cities. And I'm like, okay, right? Because I just wanted to sell the book. Right. But I got to Chicago, which was, St. Louis was my first city. I did a book signing. So I didn't really talk and tell my story. But in Chicago, I did it on my birthday weekend, which is in September. I came to Chicago and I told some of the story. And when people came up to me afterwards, like, oh my God, that's my story, or that's part of my story, or that's me. I was like, wow, really? So then I started telling the story just a little bit more and a little bit more. So in February of 2017, I went to Memphis and told the entire story. We had a whole production type thing in Memphis. And everybody was like, oh my God, I never knew, right? Because my family was there. So they was like, I never knew you were going through that. And then the people that wasn't saying I never knew, they were like, that's my story. Like, for real, you stepping on all my toes. That's me. So I decided that I would just tour and tell the story. And that's what I've been doing.
And has the feedback or the response changed depending on where you go?
So yes and no, right? So 2016 to 2018, I toured alone. I can't say alone. I toured 2016 to 2018 with a featured speaker, one of my very best friends. And in 2018, God told me to open it up to other speakers. So in 2019, I opened it up to other speakers and other authors. And that's when the feedback became different, because those speakers was telling their testimonies and their stories. So the speakers and the audience was like, oh my God. So I guess it didn't change, but it was no longer about Mikkita. It was about the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is heal one city, one state, one person at a time, right? So we started to travel. And then we expanded. So it was St. Louis and Memphis. Then it went to Atlanta, Arizona, Alabama. We've been a lot of states. So it started, as we opened up the speakers, we opened up the cities. So we would travel from February to October, and we would just travel from city to city, state to state. Right now we are on a hiatus because I need to gather myself. Because what people don't understand is that weight falls on the founder. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to get on the stage and tell their stories, and you don't know what that's going to look like when they get off the stage. You don't know what that's going to look like preparing for the stage. So that weight of everybody else kind of fell on my shoulders while I'm dealing with my own stuff, because life don't stop.
Oh, it doesn't.
Life don't stop because you decided that this is what you was going to do. And to be honest, just being honest, God will put more on you, or you'll have more trials because you're walking in this light, right? So I needed a break.
Right.
I needed a break. So we on break for 2023. I don't know if it's coming back. I'm waiting on God's word.
Well,
I'm
you
not
know, now
moving
it's
until I
almost the
get it.
middle of 2024 now.
2024. See, that's the problem. I don't even know what year it is. So 2024, we're breaking. 2023, we decided to break. 2024,
Okay.
we're breaking. So I don't know when it's coming back.
Well, it seems
don't
like
know.
that first book helped you to launch an entire platform that you've continued to build upon.
Absolutely. The
That's
first
awesome.
book allowed me to tell the bigger story, is what I like to call it. And then each book after that allowed me to elaborate on parts of those stories. So it all kind of go together. You don't have to read them in sequence.
Okay.
It doesn't work like that. Now, the first two books you do, but after that, you can read it in however way you want to read it. I have a journal that teaches you how to kind of heal through it all, write through it all. I have a slogan. I am the publisher that can get you from your head to the pages on the shelf in 60 days. If you follow the guidelines that I give you, I can get your book written and on the shelves in 60 days. Because I know what it really is a block. It's not about you don't know what to say. You either one scared to say what you're going to say because family is going to say or friends are going to say or whomever, right? Or you are at a point where you're not ready to reveal that part of yourself.
Right. And I think that's the hard part.
Motivator, I'm going to help you get all that out.
Right. Okay. Because you know that's the hard part. Is I ask people all the time when people come to me and say they want to write a book, they want to write about their lives. One of the first questions I ask them is, are you prepared to strip down and share your truth?
You have to.
And then are you prepared for the reaction you're going to get from your loved ones once you do?
Absolutely.
Because often they don't always talk to their families before they decide to write this. Not saying that they have to warn them, but just be prepared that if you don't warn them, they're going to ask about this when they read the book.
So my first book, my father, my mother, my kids, everybody read it. But after that, I kind of started keeping my books to myself. I didn't tell my dad. They know I have multiple books. However, I shared that first book, like, here, everybody, here you go, a copy. But now we're getting more intimate. We're getting more into my business, as I like to call it. So I'm not, if you want to read it, absolutely. Because my dad, like, you got 17 books. I want a copy of each one. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Are you sure?
You sure? And my mama like, I don't know if I want to read nothing else. So I tell my clients, don't even talk to your family or your kids or none of them people about it, because they may talk you out.
That's true.
Now, once you wrote the book, it's published, then you have a conversation like, hey, this is what I was feeling. This is my truth. This is my story. This is what I wrote about. I'm sorry if you feel some kind of way, but this is my truth. And I had to get it out, right? And at that point, what can they do? The example
that I use is, did you watch Queen Sugar back in the day?
I did.
Remember when Nova wrote her book and she shared everybody in her family's truth and then really tore her family apart? I told people, I said, that's real. I'm not saying that you have to warn your family, but just be prepared for what's going to happen after you publish your book.
There's definitely a preparation that you have to do internally. Like, okay, if and I just like mom and dad, right? Because aunties and uncles, that's not my problem, right? But mom, dad, you have to be, and I have adult children, so you have to be prepared for them to say, well, Mom, I never knew that. And then your mother, like, you really felt like that about me? Or your father, like, really? That's how so you have to be prepared for all of the feedback that you're going to get. But that doesn't mean stop. That just means, it's like PTO on your job. Prepare the others. Because I'm still going to do it. Prepare them because I'm still going, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I have to.
Amen. So what are you working on next? Uh-oh, she started laughing. Let me get myself prepared. Let me get comfortable.
And it's crazy you ask me that right now because I haven't really revealed this yet. So you are
I'm
the
getting an
first person
exclusive.
to know
I'm getting an exclusive.
some of it, right? So most people know that I am turning my first book, The Letter from the Invisible Daughter, into a play. However, we are not. We are going straight to TV.
Okay.
So instead of turning it into a play, we are turning it into a movie because
Please.
my co-writer, the book, the book is already written. That's mine. But I do have somebody helping me write the play. Mm-hmm. And because of that, that person was like, you know what? I got connections. Why don't we just... And I was like, you sure? And they were having like blocking of writing because you're tied into this one set. When it's a play, you're tied into maybe one set or two sets versus when you do a movie, you're not tied into these sets.
Right.
So I'm tired of being tied in. So I was like, okay, what we gonna do? So we had the conversation. We spoke to a few people. We got some more meetings to do. But for the most part, we are 90% a go to not do the play, but do the movie. Where can you order my books? All of them are on Amazon. Put my name in, Mikkita L. Moore, and they will all come up on Amazon. They are also on my website, www.mikkitamoore.com. They are all there. And I also have a manager, right? Listen, I have a daughter, and she's 12, and she is my manager. And
I was just about to say, your daughter's your manager.
Yeah, she in the background, and she's like, Mom, don't forget. So I wrote a book with my daughter. So we have a book together, and it's called Why Me, Mommy? The Story of Generational Bullying. And we talk about literally bullying and what that looks like in two different generations, right? Because when I was her age, we was long, years and years ago. And it's the same thing. We have experienced the same thing. So I have quite a few books, but there are some that are very near and dear to my heart. And those, I got 4, maybe 5 that are really near and dear to my heart. So yeah, that's what's next. What's next is, and then with the book, let me go back. With me and my daughter's book, she has a not-for-profit organization called Kaya Moore Foundation, and we deal with bullying, anti-violence, and anti-drugs. So we do a lot of rallies and things of that nature. We're going to do a summer camp this year. So yeah, it's a whole lot that I do, but I make sure that I balance it all out because I got to make sure that I'm here for her. I got to make sure that I'm here for me because we kind of get lost in all of that. So that's what's next.
Well, it looks like you have a lot of people in the comments who are
Thank you guys.
Waiting for the book now. Waiting for the movie now.
Yeah, it's absolutely time to... I knew that I would upgrade, and I've been wanting to do this book, turn the book into a play since probably about 2018, 2019. Then COVID struck and all kinds of stuff happened. But then when I have the opportunity to kind of bypass the play, let's go with that. I'm not saying that it will never be a play, but right now, that is not the direction that the co-writer and I want to go.
That makes sense. It makes sense.
Especially since I already got a TV talk show. He's like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
You're a busy lady. You have a lot going on.
I am. So my motto, and I know this, don't get me, y'all. It's a little ghetto, but it is what it is. If it don't make money, it don't make sense.
That's not
when it starts to not make money, I gotta move around. I gotta go somewhere else because at the end of the day, I have a mortgage. I got a daughter. I got, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a mother of 5. And although 4 of my children are adults, this little baby over here, She's spoiled. But she a good kid, so I ain't mad.
Okay, Elisa Daniels McLeish says that she needs the first book and then the other books, and she wants a signed copy of the first book.
Well, listen, or if you want a signed copy of the book, you have to go to www.mikkitamore.com and buy it on that, because those come from me. If you go to Amazon, Amazon ships those. But if you go to my website, those come from me and I sign those copies. And I personally send those books out. I am located in Chicago, Illinois. If you are here in Chicago and you want to see me or meet up with me, I'll be in St. Louis, May 18th at the Authors Expo. And then I'll be in Memphis, June 8th and 9th.
7th and 9th, yeah. 7th and 9th.
7th.
Oh, manager, you gotta tell her where she has to be. Come on,
listen, this is my calendar. This when I say, yeah, she's that, right? So I'll be in Memphis June 8th and 9th at the Christian Women's Expo. Everywhere I go, I take my books. You'll learn a little bit about real estate, but I'm taking them books with me because they've been a part of my life for a very long time. So that is it. Can I put the address in the chat? Absolutely. It's just my first. It's literally www.mikkitamore.com.
She's talking about she's going to be in at the place where your event's going to be in June. So.
Oh wow. Okay, so I will. I'll send them all to you, and then if you can send them out or however that works. You can also find me on Facebook under my name, Mikkita the Author Moore. Listen, I like everybody. Because it's a business page at the end of the day. You're going to get a little bit of me. You're going to get a little bit of real estate. You're going to get a little bit of books. Like, this is what I do. I won't. Not right now. Not right now. I will not be in the DMV area. Not right now, but please believe. I'm having conversations with God and him.
You might have to come to the DMV in February for my Black History Month literary weekend.
Send me the information. Right now, listen, I am allowing God to be God in my life.
And nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Direct where I need to go and what I need to do. Because I know that right now it's not about me being the host. Right now it's about me being a servant and not a leader. Right now I need to serve, and I get that. I promise you I am in a season of servants, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that. So where he leads me is where I go.
Okay, well, Roy said it's a great weekend. He was one of our featured authors this past February.
Okay. Ooh. Listen, send me the information. I'm always down to be somewhere doing something. I love the airport. You understand? I love the airport.
She said she loved the airport.
Like, I don't want to know, baby. I love the airport. I love it. I go straight through, clear. So I don't have no problem with the airport. I don't have no problem with flying.
I am not mad at you, Mikkita. I am not.
Look, send me the information. And of course, I'm always down to talk about my books and really, meet people one-on-one when they come to my table. It has been a blessing to just do what I'm called to do. Because if you had have asked me in 2014, 2015, would this be my life? I would have told you, absolutely not. I'm riding motorcycles and kicking it. I ain't got time for that. But God was like, no, I got a different path for you. And I need you to follow my lead. And I was like, okay, I surrender.
Amen. Well, Mikkita, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Truly, and I knew I was going to enjoy our conversation.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And, I wish you blessings upon blessings. Oh, your link is is on the screen.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yep.
Daniel is on it.
All my information is there. Like, if you want to know a little bit more about me, you can go to that website. If you want to shop with me, you can go to that website, publish anything. And if it's not there, all you got to do is contact info and put your name in there, and I will definitely get back with you. Right now, between me and this manager over here, we run the emails and all of that. So you're not listening, or you're not getting a response from somebody that don't know what's going on.
Right.
The responses come from us. I read every single email because it's very important to have hands-on right now. Now, 2-3 years from now, when I'm somewhere else, then maybe, but right now it's us.
Okay, well, keep doing what you're doing because it seems to be working for you. So,
you.
congratulations on your success. I hope that your global platform continues to grow because it sounds like it's an amazing, very powerful platform. So, thank you for what you're doing. You're helping a lot of people, and you may not even realize it.
I do know it's bigger than me. It's so much bigger than me. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a wonderful evening.
You too. Bye, everybody.
All right, y'all. That was author Mikkita Moore. Earlier, we had Coach Michelle Jackson. I told you this was going to be a show that was full of inspiration and motivation, and I hope you guys saw that. So thank you once again for supporting the show. Continue to share the show. Let's continue to have the show grow. Don't forget, you may have seen the ticker going across. We have a new IG page that's dedicated solely to promoting authors. Go to @MTW Literary Horizons. Like the page. It's a brand new page. So don't be like, it's only a couple of followers on it. It's brand new. The page isn't even a week old. But we're doing some major things on that platform, and we are promoting authors in as many ways as we possibly can. So make sure you go and follow that page so you can get the scoop on a lot of new authors that you may not have met yet. And then authors, this is a way for you to reach more of your readership because we are growing this page with organic readership, not bots. We're not buying followers. We're using organic methods to connect you with your readers. So you really want to be a part of this. And also, don't forget that we do have the graduating senior scholarship. We will be giving $1,000 to a graduating senior. Make sure that you scan the QR code that's on the screen right now and complete the essay. Not you, your graduating senior. Have your graduating senior complete the essay, get a letter of recommendation and proof of community service, as well as writing a 500-word essay. We want to be able to give away some money and support our kids who are going to college, because even if they're going on a full ride, they're going to need some money, and we want to be able to have them to be financially empowered as they get ready to start their educations. Well, that's all we have for tonight, guys. Thanks once again for supporting the Horizons Author Lounge. I will see you next week with 2 more amazing authors. And don't forget to join me tomorrow night on the National Black Book Festival Facebook page, where we will be meeting 4 new authors on Black Authors Matter TV with Gwen Richardson. So that's all we have for tonight. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. And, think of somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Reach out to them and tell them you love them. I bet you they're going to appreciate it. Thank you, and God bless you.